The Johannesburg Stock Exchange is firmer today, with its global peers mixed as markets digested the U.S. Federal Reserve's latest policy announcement. On Wednesday, the Fed indicated that it is in no rush to ease the monetary stimulus that has been supporting the economy throughout the pandemic. Locally, analysts will be looking to see if these sentiments will indeed influence what our Reserve Bank MPC decides to do. Independent analyst Jimmy Moyaha joins us now to talk through these and other business-related stories. Mr. Moyaha, good to have you with us once again on the Daytime Update. Now, with the interest rate decision this afternoon and in light of the U.S. Fed announcement yesterday, has the rand moved favorably?
Good day, Tommy, and good day to the viewers. The rand has moved favorably. We've seen the rand come off from 1480 to sit around just below the 1460 mark, getting as low as, say, 1458. And that movement largely is off the back of the news that we heard yesterday from the US Fed. We expect that this will filter through to the announcement that we're expecting later from the MPC, of course. But we do expect those rates to remain unchanged from that perspective.
And our consensus amongst analysts is that the MPC will likely keep the interest rates on hold, as you've also hinted. But the focus will be on signals of monetary policy normalization. Are you expecting any surprises on that front?
So not at the moment. I think we will see some announcements and some changes from the policy outlook. But if you look at what happened in the U.S. and what the Fed announced, they announced that although they're considering tapering and potentially doing that from November, they made a very clear distinction for the first time that the Fed hasn't done in the past, is to say that interest rates might not follow and will not follow directly after tapering. And that's a huge sign. I mean, if you look at the U.S.'s economy, they had the $2 trillion stimulus that was in the form of stimulus checks, had another $3 trillion that they're still trying to get through infrastructure support. And even after such a big stimulus, such big announcements, the U.S. as an economy is not in a rush to increase interest rates. And I think from a South African perspective, we can definitely draw parallels in that respect. The U.S. has said that they're focused on seeing a recovery in the job market. From our perspective, I mean, our unemployment rate is significantly higher than the U.S.'s unemployment rate. And as a result of that, I think we'll need to see some significant movements from that side of things before we can expect rates to start going up and a rate increase to be on the cards.
Now, Jimmy, South Africa's inflation edged up in August, coming in at 4.9%. Do you think that the Reserve Bank will revise inflation even higher, given that it's coming in at these levels?
I don't necessarily think so. I think what's interesting to see about this is that the CPI figure did increase. But if you look at core inflation, and that's where we should be putting our focus on, core CPI only went from 3 to 3.1%, which therefore means that the inflationary increase was as a result of the pressure on either food or fuel. And it's definitely from the fuel side of it. We've seen the fuel prices increase by about 4.9% from July to August. And in the last 12 months, the fuel price has gone up by about 19%. So I think the increase in the CPI at this stage might only be due to the volatile increase in the fuel price, of which we know a large chunk of that is fuel levies and taxes. I mean, we're expecting our fuel price to be at all-time highs, which if you look back to the last time we were in a similar type of situation where the oil price was around the $70 to $75 a barrel mark, it was a couple of years ago, the fuel price was still significantly lower than where it is now. Now, one can argue the point of saying inflation over the years has come into effect. But what we're seeing now is unprecedented fuel prices and off the back of a situation that we've seen in the past before where fuel prices weren't necessarily this high. So I think at the moment the inflation element of it is not from the core growth of the country, or of the consumer confidence or consumer spending, and it's rather off the back of what we're seeing on the fuel side of it at the moment.
Let's take a look at company news for a while. A pharmacy chain, Clicks, has announced that its CEO, Vikesh Ramsundar, has resigned and will be replaced by Bettina Engelbrecht, who will in fact become the first black female to lead a listed retailer in South Africa. Talk us through these developments. Have there been any sort of reactions from shareholders in any specific direction?
Well, I mean, the news overall for Clicks is very positive news. The outgoing CEO is joining a bigger firm in Australia, moving on to a bigger opportunity. But the appointment of Ms. Engelbrecht at the moment speaks to the depth of quality of talent that Clicks has. She's been part of the executive team for the last 15 years. She's been very involved in the strategic direction of Clicks even before the current outgoing CEO was a CEO. So the appointment is a very strong one from Clicks' perspective. It's not a sign of any form of weakness within Clicks' structures or a lack of direction from Clicks. It's a very good appointment from a strategic level. And I think the progression of Clicks as a group will continue in line with the strategic objectives that they've had in the past. It's just another example of a South African executive level or C-level executive being hunted around the world. We've seen this where South African top-level executives and top-level professionals as well are able to compete or hunted around the world by leading firms, by leading institutions. I mean, if we remember back a couple of years ago, our own Reserve Bank governor was chairing the committee at the IMF for world governors as well. So the quality of the executives that South Africa is producing at the world stage is of a high quality, and this is just another example of that. Clicks is very sad, of course, to lose their CEO, but like I said, the appointment of the replacement CEO is just as strong an appointment as the outgoing CEO.
Jimmy Moyaha, thank you very much. He is an independent analyst as we wrap up the day's business stories.